So failures in media aren't limited to institutional, traditional media. I think we definitely see that in independent media. And especially in the last couple of weeks, we've seen an example locally that I think shows how a lot of the, I guess, negative, toxic attitudes and behaviors that are perpetuated and live in these kind of traditional newsrooms can definitely be downloaded onto this kind of independent media space that I think really prides itself in being very different or offering something different, not only for the people who are working in the industry, but also for like listeners in the audience. But it can often just like perpetuate like the same awful things that we find in kind of, like I said, traditional kind of mainstream spaces. So the story I think that's like a really perfect example of that in Edmonton has been, and I hate to use this term, but I have to, the story with like the Prince of Podcasting, Ryan Jespersen, and his producer, Sarah Hoyles, who was on his show when this conversation about Kim Kardashian came up, and this back and forth kind of started where Jespersen was, very clearly very sexist, very condescending in his way of cutting off his producer, Sarah, interrupting her whenever she was trying to speak. And then also siding with this strange character, Captain Kobe, who, was calling his producer racist against white men because of her critiques about sexism. That was, pretty blatant and pretty obvious. So I mentioned Kim Kardashian and this mysterious character called Captain Kobe. So you don't really need to know much about these people to understand the situation with Ryan Jespersen. But we're going to play a clip right here that really makes you understand what's going on when we say, Ryan was acting in a very sexist way, in a very domineering way.
Here's the thing. You know what a down-home example is Captain Kobe that we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, right?
Don't get me started,
dude. No, hey, it's enough. I don't mean it's enough, Sarah Hoyles. I'm not saying that. Let me be clear. I'm saying my point is Captain Kobe. And the thing with Captain Kobe,
he re-emphasizes what my point is.
Yeah, sure. But you know what? Lots of people give a fuck about what he has to say. And so that's that people's interest. People are like, why are you making certain people famous? That's because that's who those people want to listen to.
He's already
famous. And if you don't like it, then that's fine.
And I get what Sarah's saying right now. Like, stop making stupid people famous. But at the same time, I like the fact that the average person can just climb out from the rubble and become a social media icon or even a millionaire in this day and age.
Yeah.
But she hasn't climbed out from the rubble. Stop.
I'm not talking about her. I'm saying in
her.
general. Like, we're talking about Captain Kobe. We're talking about other people.
But he also has, if we're talking Captain Kobe, he is a white male, which automatically gives him...
So what do you want him to do, Sarah?
I'm saying that there is not an equal playing field.
But what do you want him to do?
The fact that he's talking about that he wants to go and talk to Indigenous people, great. But the point is, it's not about going and giving your mic to someone else. It's about getting the fuck out of the way and letting people speak for themselves and stop taking up airtime.
He's not taking up airtime. He is his own guy. And he goes, it's always been my dream. He said it on our show. People can go back and listen to the interview. He goes, it's always been my dream. He goes, I want to go across the country on a motorcycle and talk to people and tell people stories. And he goes, including First Nations people, including Indigenous people. And then all of a sudden, the left starts to pile on him and say, a white guy is gonna co-opt the culture, 100%. And 100%, Sarah, you know it.
I don't know it.
And so the biggest mistake that Captain Kobe made was acknowledging that he wanted to include Indigenous people in the conversations he had, because people started lighting their hair on fire. So the better thing he would have done, what everybody would have preferred, right? All the Stacys, what everybody would have preferred is if Captain Kobe would have just ignored Indigenous people altogether and said, I'm just going to ride my motorcycle across the country but I'm not going to talk to any Indigenous people. And then all of the Stacys online would be more satisfied.
We should not be diminishing people and referring to them as Stacys.
No, I'm specifically talking about someone called Stacy. by the way, this is the most real talk we've had in a long time.
I'm in the
I
middle
know some
here.
people are pissed off about this. This is real talk.
I love this.
Show me one example of Captain Kobe speaking on behalf of Indigenous people. That's what
Why
he said.
are you defending him so much?
I'm not defending Captain Kobe. What I'm defending is this cancel culture.
Not
that,
cancel
yes,
culture.
Of
Oh my gosh!
Of
Stop.
course it is.
You are going from to extremes.
People talking to me about I don't know cancel culture. Like, do you fucking forget my story? Like, I don't know cancel culture. You fucking kidding me? I have firsthand experience what it's like, and I've encountered the same crew on social media. Is the assertion that basically, if you've got a beard and you're white, you should just shut the fuck up, shut down your social media, shut the fuck up? Because that's the impression I get. First, we wanted to address the wrap-up about the final 15, 17 minutes of yesterday's show. And we had this sort of talk radio moment where our team, in particular me and our editorial producer, Sarah Hoyles, really got into it. And it was a situation where I think both of us were uncomfortable at the time as we talked about it after. And Sarah will share it in her words in just a second. But after our show, we went, whoo! And we all kind of took a deep breath and went, well, that doesn't happen every day. And my first inclination was that this was a huge success.
It wasn't okay. Having heated conversations, I'm all for. Going toe to toe, I am all for. Not agreeing, I am all for. But being steamrolled, having people try to explain what I was saying back to me, being interrupted repeatedly, not being able to say a sentence without it being cut off, that's not okay. And then to be said that I'm racist because I'm discriminating against all white men with beards is ludicrous. And that just goes to show that people don't get it. They don't get what it means. I have privilege, you have privilege, different levels of privilege, different kinds of privilege.
But also, Sarah, like, one of the most important things I've learned to do in my career, and yesterday was a good reminder too, is to take important points that people make, right? To seek out different perspectives. Everybody knows you do. You booked Supriya Dwivedi and Brian Lilly for the same roundtable today. Like, that's different perspectives. You're not afraid of different perspectives. And at the same time, every once in a while, you got to just forget about the comments. It's not real life. And in so many ways, as a lot of people yesterday were telling me to fuck off and die, people calling you a racist, it's the same ball of wax. And that's the stuff, like, it's easier said than done, I think, for us to say, just shake it off or just ignore the comments, right? If someone's calling you a racist. But at the same time, in real life, you know where your heart's at. I know where your heart's at. I know what drives your passion. I've seen the editorial process. There's a reason why, I said this to people yesterday, there's a reason why you are hired to be the producer of this show. I hired you because of what you bring to the table, because of your skill set, and because the show is better because of your contribution. This is real life, man. This is real stuff.
I have just been messaged by Captain Kobe. He put it on Instagram, on Twitter, saying, I see everyone on here defending Sarah, but you all seen her being racist towards all white men with beards, right? I need you to call him out, Ryan. I need you to call him out. He's dangerous. He's targeting me. And this is inaccurate, unfair, and a smear. And I need you to call him out.
Yeah. Well, this is
exactly what the problem is. When women stand up and ask to be heard and say things that are hard for white men to hear, this is what comes back at them. And he's dangerous because he has such a platform, which we helped to create.
Okay, so let me
This is why I was dangerous.
Starters.
I was scared to come on today because I need you to stand up.
Like, what's the specific message? What do you specifically want to say? What with regards to me calling him out? I don't have background here. I obviously
I just read it to you, Ryan.
Okay,
I just read it to
okay.
you.
So yeah, so I mean, I'm just seeing it. I haven't had a chance to formulate my thoughts. But what's the message? Like, what's the most important message you want people focusing on right now? What do you want people to hear right now?
You have the platform. He listens to you. This is white privileged males.
Yeah.
that will only listen to each other.
No, but I want you to feel supported right now, and I'm
And
standing
so that's
here.
why I'm asking you.
But so
tell him it's wrong.
Tell him that you're not a racist. 20 minutes
Tell
ago
him-
we talked about that. I said that specific. I want to be clear. I'm understanding.
Say, Kobe, Captain Kobe,
Yeah,
knock it off.
yeah.
Stop.
Sarah, I want to be
Please,
clear.
Ryan,
you have
say
my
it.
you have my full support right now.
Say it to Kobe.
Okay. Just hang on a second. We're having a conversation. There's a lot of nuance to this conversation. In this circumstance, clearly the way that Kobe's messaging is making you feel is absolutely
That is not.
inappropriate.
You can't say, I'm sorry that he's making you feel that way.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying, Sarah.
That's just what you said.
Sarah, I'm saying clearly it indicates that. Okay, all right. Well, this is real for sure. Obviously, Kobe, you can see the impact that this is having. I don't have the background here. Obviously, didn't expect this to happen. I don't have the Kobe. I don't know what was said except for that. Calling Sarah racist is completely off base, and walk it back, Kobe, please. And with regards to everybody else, this is an unprecedented circumstance for me as a host. You can let me know what you think right now, and I'm doing my best to show my support for my teammate here and for my colleague Sarah Hoyles. We're just going to hard transition into a conversation.
So as you can see during that clip, Ryan's producer Sarah was, very clearly asking him to denounce this person, Captain Kobe, who was calling her racist, really undermining her claims that the situation was very sexist towards her, and all of this kind of went over Ryan Jespersen's head, and not only that, but that he continuously interrupts Sarah, really brushes off any accusations of sexism, and kind of treats the whole situation like, it's this very light disagreement, and, really going back to his preferred term, real talk. And, even after his producer walks off the set, and very clearly unhappy with the situation, he's still, pretty nonchalant about everything, reading ads, talking about how this is a positive thing. And so I think this really shows how, these kind of attitudes that are very negative and toxic in mainstream newsrooms and in mainstream environments can very easily be carried over and perpetuated in an independent space, and how just having this independent label or choosing to go down this path doesn't necessarily preclude you from experiencing these kind of things. And I can speak on this for myself personally, as I transitioned from a more mainstream traditional newsroom into a more independent media and a startup environment. As my first kind of media job, I definitely witnessed a lot of really toxic behavior, a lot of things that I didn't expect to see, from my old kind of environments, because, you're always promised when you're in a kind of independent or startup environment that things are going to be done differently, that, culture or, people are treated differently. But I think ultimately a lot of that is lip service. And I think it just reflects how a lot of these things are really carried over. Even on this show, when we were doing our first season, I was coming off a string of very toxic experiences in both traditional and this kind of startup media environment. And I think dealing with those situations and having them spill over into a new project that I think was trying to do something entirely different than what was happening at those places, I think ultimately really soured not only my experience, but I think the relationship and the experience that other people had working on the project. I think if we want to create media that's different, it takes a lot to challenge and change these kind of things, and also to not just assume that because things are being done under this independent banner, that somehow we're not going to carry over the baggage and the kind of behavior from past organizations. And an update on the situation with Sarah Hoyles and Ryan Jespersen. Sarah announced that she is no longer working with Ryan on the show, which, quite honestly, good for her. And we wish Sarah all the best when it comes to whatever is next. Yeah, I hope that she's able to find a place that respects her perspective and her ideas as a journalist.